Hey girl,
Hey girl, hit it.
hit it. Yeah, there we go. This is our first
I
time
like
doing a podcast together, or really a podcast for me at all.
actually, do you remember we did this one time before, or we tried to?
And what happened?
Okay, you have no
You're
memory
like,
of
you have, no, 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 you have to realize I have zero memory of anything ever. Who
that
are
true?
you? No, my
I know
memory's
you have like
terrible.
I know you have a thing with time.
Memory's really bad too.
Days,
If you
years.
jiggle it, I might actually remember. But what did we try
Okay.
to do?
We've been talking about fetching publicly for I don't know, many years. And
Right?
I don't know how far it went, but you recorded one of our conversations. And it was probably way too boring to even hear back, so we left
Well,
it there.
the best thing about this is we're streaming, so like we
It's
have no
happening.
chance to like not do it. It's there, it's on the internet, and what's on the internet is on the internet forever.
Oh God.
So I'm Elise, and you are,
I'm Nicole.
and we how did we meet?
Aw, we met. Oof. Do you have any, if I asked you what year we met, how
No, I
bad
have
are you at this?
I know it's but like basically in my brain, which I have dissociation issues, so like it's
Oh,
really
tell
hard.
us, tell us more about that.
Well, maybe we can go there later. That's one of the diagnoses that I don't talk very much about, but I should. Um, but because of the way my brain works, like for me, it's kind of easy to just remember before COVID or after COVID, like, and that I can do. But like how far after or before, it's really hard. So I know we met before COVID. Um,
Yes,
but
that's true.
after like some people say like there's big events that mark your memory, like other things I don't know, like um you see I'm like struggling here, like some
When was your kid born?
um 2004,
You hesitated. That's very interesting.
I think. Well, because I went to okay, this is a funny story. I went to set up my kid at the at school, right? So
Okay.
when I moved to France, and
Mm.
I was like, how do I do this? And I'm talking to the staff, right? They're like, well, and I have my kid with me, right? Like right there.
I'm impressed you even sent her to school because I know
And
that was a bit of an
and
issue
then they were like,
for you.
well, how this works depends on your kid's age. When was your kid born? And I was like, 2014. And then they're like
Very,
looking at
very big.
me, and then looking at the kid, looking at me, and like they're like, I don't think so. And I'm like, no, 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 trust me. Like I know exactly what I'm talking about. That's the one date I can remember. And then my kid's even looking at me like, no, that's not right. I'm like, oh fuck. 10 years off, it's understandable, right?
And
Like,
you added a one. You
right.
could have been like before COVID. That much I know.
And they were like, what's COVID? Trust me, you'll know soon enough.
It's coming.
Right.
Oh
So,
my God.
so yeah, we met when I joined a startup called Life Map, and that was like when a friend of
Yes.
mine was like, who is an internet person, um, tall white guy. You remember him,
Yes, I do.
right? And
Typical. Very typical.
very typical cishet white guy, and very and tall, and he
Hmm.
likes to
And
use
slim.
the what do you call these, the guns. um anyway, he calls me up and he's like, hey, I'm gonna be running a biotech company. I'm like, wait, you're gonna be running a what? And I'm like, because
Did you know him previously?
yeah, I knew him before.
Okay.
And I did not associate him at all with, we were doing a games company before, and biotech's a
Right,
little
right.
bit different.
Uh-huh.
But
I didn't know the history.
Yeah, yeah, and but he asked me to join. I was like, sure, why not? Um, yeah, and that biotech company, other than us, had some legitimate people in it. And then we ended up working with Mount Sinai Hospital, and that's where you were, Icon School of Medicine.
I'm tempted because I'm tempted to like use names. Should we be using names as we chat
As long
or
as
not so
you don't,
much?
as if they don't, if they find out and you're fine with them finding out, I think that's cool.
Okay. Well, I'll in general, like, I won't, or maybe I don't know. We'll see where it goes.
Right.
Um, okay. Well, there's a
Mr.
clear.
X.
They're all Mr. X. They're all Misters.
Go on.
Um, I was pregnant, and Kat was pregnant. Our friend Kat. So I know when my child was born, and that is
Oh, you
2018.
sound so proud of yourself.
Yes, but here's the issue I have with my kids' birthdays. May I? This is a tangent.
No, no, there's only tangents.
Oh, okay, right, right. My daughter was born March 15, 2016. So I never know if it's March 16, 2015 or March 15, 2016, because I've gotten into my head that it's one off. But now I'm like, in which direction though? Kat and I were both pregnant, so I knew you, if not before 2018, probably earlier though, because I wasn't like pregnant when you met me, right? We knew each other
Yeah,
a
this
year or
is really
two.
funny. It's like it's funny to me like this is one of those things like I assume you're like neurotypical, right? I think.
I know you assume so, although I scored very normal. Normal? I scored fine on the tests. I'm not. Go on. Let's hear
What's
your opinion.
interesting
Go
to
on.
me is just like how like when we talk, you, one of the first things you go to is like when you like I mean the date exactly, like things. And I was just like looking for like how did we meet, and then you kind of went to like
Oh,
when.
interesting.
And like I think a lot of people like chronological stuff is really important to them. And for me, like everything's sort of like separate in my brain, like here's my Micol life, right? Like, and all the things related to my life with you. And I don't really try to like peg it to a time. But like a lot of people I notice I talk to them, and one of the first things is like when. They ask when, and I'm like, oh shit, okay, you care about that. Right. Okay, we're gonna try to figure this out. I need cliff notes for this stuff.
That's interesting. Well, if you ask me when, when is an indication of what does when mean to you? When's a question word that means date. I figured we could start there as a basis.
Yeah, yeah, no, that sounds good. That's fine. We met a while
No,
ago. We
we
met a
we
while
met
ago.
before COVID.
And the funny thing is about like our relationship, which happens to me a lot, and tell me if this happens to you, is that when we met, like we weren't like the closest when we first met. We got along,
Yeah.
but we kept like I feel like we got closer like especially after we stopped working with each other. I don't know. Um maybe you feel differently. But
Yeah.
I definitely feel like with my other friends that I've made from work, it's been the same thing. I get closer with them after I stop working with them. Or do you think that's just in my head?
I feel like this is how it went for me. Well, we didn't have a work environment very conducive to getting to know each other like quickly or easily because you were in California and I was in New York, of course, and you'd come for little bits of time. But I liked you right away. I don't know why. That'd be a helpful tidbit. I liked you right away, but I think we started a little more. We did a lot of side chatting. We started with a lot of side chatting.
I
And
re-
I enjoyed your questions so much. Like in the middle of a meeting, you'd be like, "What is everyone talking about?"
Wait,
It
I
was
asked
very
you that
helpful.
or did I ask everyone that?
No, you would ask me that, and
Uh,
I'd be like, "Thank you. I don't feel gaslit by this question." Because like no one ever made any sense when in those meetings, right?
this this happens a lot in a lot of meetings where it's like becomes a thing that two people are sort of like talking about, and they maybe they just know what they're talking about, or they just want to show each other off, or I don't know. but then at some point you're like, why are we all here? And like, what are we talking about? That's a constant state that
Yeah.
I'm in.
That's a pretty constant state that I'm in. Maybe we got to know each other. Maybe that's why we clicked at work. So
Right,
we never
right.
knew what anyone was talking about. I have tried to figure out what that is, like what's going on there. And I've tried to figure out if it's more in the health space or something.
What do you mean?
Why do people so quickly, like I can follow a conversation like when everyone's a work conversation, when everyone's saying like good morning,
Right, right.
how was
The
everyone's
pre-meeting
weekend?
conversation, you're like, I am
This
so
makes
fucking good at this. I am rocking it. Right? Like, how's your day going? Well, I got up, I showered, blah blah, and then as soon as it turns to work, it's like I'm lost. I have no idea what's going on.
I'm so lost. Um, I don't get what that is. How does that happen? I've never like been good at like when I was a kid, I was also never good at like group work. I was lost very early on. I felt lost. Like people would be like on the same I can't follow um like a path with too many talkers in it.
Maybe I'll take back my neurotypical comment. I remember when I was in kindergarten, um,
Mhm,
that my everyone was like the kid we had like free play, and we get like the tracks with the trains and like cooking stuff or whatever. It was just like these toys that we would have, and
mhm,
I remember the teacher would be like playtime, and everyone would go to the back and like pull out the toys, right?
okay.
Just imagine. And here I am. I'm like
I was in kindergarten.
I'm sitting here like whatever, you're 5, right, in kindergarten. And I'm thinking like, "Huh, how do they know what toy they're going to get?" Like everyone just went beeline towards the toys and they knew what they were
Yeah,
going to get. And then somehow they formed groups to play with each other. And I'm sitting here like trying to analyze like, okay, how do they know, and how
yeah.
do they like handshake on who
Yeah.
they will play with? And
Right.
that
When
was
did this happen in
when.
your
Why are you
mind?
asking when again? What? No. Yeah,
You're thinking like when did this happen, all this?
exactly.
Behind my
Like, did
back?
we
Yeah.
discuss this? Like,
Yeah.
did I miss a meeting? Where's the notes? Um, and I felt like that all the time. S-
I understand. I can relate to this.
right.
I can relate to this. I think I was a little, I don't know what it was, daydreamy. I felt like, yeah, some people have systems and rhythms and language that I feel a little not a part of or something. I attributed that for me for like to, I don't know, daydreaming. I was just not paying attention so much. But then
Uh,
when people started to act, I was like, how? What?
what just happened?
I have a memory of being on stage with the Girl Scouts and everyone knew a dance and I didn't know it in any way.
How did I get on this stage, and what are we doing here?
I swear to God, this is like a nightmare for most people and it happened to me for real. Now, I've wondered in my kid brain, I was like, was I really not? I could have not been there. My parents maybe didn't bring me to a few meetings or something before. They weren't that into my activities. So this is very possible. But also it could have not been because I'm not a reliable narrator of my own,
I just
so it
like
could
this
have been.
idea that, you as a kid, and like people are like, "Micol, like, the performance is like in 2 days, and we're practicing." You're like, "I got it, guys.
I
Like,
got
don't worry
this.
about it." But you haven't practiced once. It's like, "No, I
I
got this."
perform all the
And then it's
time.
like, "Guys, it's time for state." And you're like, "Wait, what?"
Right. There's processes.
And you're just like, "Wait, it's today?" "Yeah, no, we're literally on the stage. We're gonna dance." Like, "Got it. All right, let's just wing this. We're just gonna
I'm
wing it."
assuming we're all going to go up there and dance, right? All on
Wait,
our
so
own.
what happened? Did you
No
end up
rhyme or reason.
dancing? Did you or
I was in the front row. That's right. I was in the front row because I didn't know where to stand. So I was like, yeah, I'll go in the front, of course. Um, I was trying to figure it out as I went, but I do remember thinking like, this ain't going great. This ain't going great. I wanted to ask you another question. May
Yeah.
I?
Yeah, of course.
That's an early memory, the kindergarten memory. What are your earliest memories? Are they around there? 5 years
Oh
old?
no, 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 no. Before I could walk, before I could talk, I have memories. They're more fragmented,
Okay.
um, and I guess a little bit less reliable. But I remember being in the carriage, like as a baby, and just loving being in this carriage. You know the ones that are like, what do you? Not the carriage where you're sitting up, the carriage where you're lying down and has the thing over you.
Lying down, that's a little one.
It's you're an infant, right? And I just
You-
I just remember the way it felt because it was like cushioned and I just love that like secure feeling from it. I remember being in the you know when you're an infant they have like these like I don't know, I'm not very good with kids and babies, I guess. Well, actually, you know I am, but like you put them in the place where there's like a bar that goes up and down so they can't get out. It's like the infant jail.
Yeah. Okay. You
I, w-
remember being in jail.
I would remember being in that thing a lot.
Did
And I
you like containers, containment?
except
Do you remember
sometimes
liking?
I felt like I was in there too long. You know, it's like, hey, this was cool, but like, let me
I'm
out.
done.
And
Uh-huh.
I would like bite on the edge of the container thing because it was like this like plasticky rubbery feeling thing, so it actually felt kind of nice on my gums. And I remember also like the first time I should have known I was going to go into tech was like I was sitting in like sort of my godparents' house and they gave me a radio and I was just like fascinated with this radio. Just fascinated. I couldn't manipulate it. But I'm like, what is this thing? Right? That doesn't look organic. That doesn't look whatever. Yeah,
Wow, you were interested just in the look of it before you could even
it had
make
buttons
the
and you're like,
sound.
what are these buttons? Like they looked like something, you know? And yeah, I could barely, but definitely I remember being swaddled and I hated it. It was too tight. So I my memories go
Wow,
back to like infancy.
that's incredible.
Yeah, that is
I wonder how
weird,
many
right?
I wonder how many people there are like you.
Probably lots. I'm not so Findus says hi, someone that comes often. It's always nice to see you, Findus.
Oh, hello.
Says today with a guest. Yes, sort of. I don't know if this is like my channel with you guesting or I'm guesting in your channel, but like we'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out. We'll see. Let's see how he responds. Finis? What's the name?
Findus.
Findus.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Usually I do
Let's see
like
how this goes.
sorry?
We'll see how this goes.
Well, I
And
think
let
we're
us
already seeing how it goes. It goes left and right,
okay.
up and down.
Um,
Why'd you ask me that question?
I'm always curious about that question
Oh,
because
really?
I'm curious also about the reliability of those memories because I have memories from that age. No, not that age. I have memories from an age, like 5, 4, but that's where they kind of start for me.
That's so weird. Like, I think I
I
can
have
name.
flashes. I have flashes. I remember like what the light looked like when I was lying in the bed. That must have been before 4, but I don't have like a complete anything. I don't have a complete memory
No, I
until
don't have complete memories of anything ever. Like, it's not continuous. There are always flashes all the
yeah.
time. So that's kind of. I thought everyone was like that, but I think some people just have more of these flashes, so it almost feels like contiguous.
Yeah, interesting. I can see that. Some people have a memory where when they tell a story, maybe you've noticed this, because I can't do it. I know you can't do it. They tell a story like in a very linear way.
Right.
I think you probably know these people. I was talking, they know what they were saying to themselves in the moment. They know what they said out loud. They know what the other person said. Um, we can't do that.
No,
And
we're
they
terrible.
expect that from other people. They're like,
Yes.
I went to the store today and at like 1 o'clock, I said to myself, I don't have any green apples. I need to go back. And then a guy was like, do you want the green apples? It's like, how do you even remember a story? in that second by
That's
second
how
life.
they experience their life, right? Whereas I would think like, I got to go to the
Their inner
supermarket, I'm
monologue is
stressed.
very organized. Yeah. It's like synced up with the day.
It's crazy. It's crazy stuff.
And then they
Um,
ask you a question like, how was your day? And you're like, I can answer it kind of, but I'm not going to answer it the way you just. I can't meet your expectations here. You know?
yeah, like I know a lot of people don't put a lot of faith, and it's not scientific in Myers-Briggs, MBTI, but
Mm-hmm.
this is like the big thing with the difference between N's and S's. N's are intuitives and S's are sensory, and intuitive is more abstract and sensory is much more like real, right? Concrete. And sensory people, when you talk to them, according to MBTI, it's much more like they'll talk like this, like one thing after the other. And I
Yeah.
found it is a helpful thing, whether it's real or not. When I talk to someone and they say it, they talk that way, I'm like, okay, treat this person differently because they think
Yeah.
and speak differently. And I try to
Totally.
do that. But they
Yeah.
never get when I talk, they're just like lost at the abstractions and the concepts. They're just like, just can you just tell me the important stuff? They just get frustrated.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah. This is one of like the bigger relationships in my, yeah. You try to meet them, you're like, okay, let's fill. They also expect you to talk more. Do you find that? If they're like, how was your day? They're waiting for all those details that they are able to give you. They're expecting it.
Wait, there are
And you're like,
people who don't
ah,
tell you to shut up. All I hear is like, "Oh my god, you talk too much."
with those people
Ah,
that could tell a story with that detail at like that granular, they then turn it on you. And how is your day? It's like what you said, you try to match them. And they're expecting that story from
right.
you. But you
Well,
can't do it.
I think then I end up talking about things my way and they're just like, "I don't get why you said that."
Yeah, they can't find you in there. I mean, they can't grab onto it. I know. This we can loop back. I remember when our friendship went a notch further from work. We have the same personality type. Do you remember this?
No.
Okay.
You're like, "I'm
We
going to
took a
have."
personality. We took the personality
Oh, I
test.
remember us
We were the
taking a
same.
personality test, right?
That's when I feel like you started to chat me up a little bit more.
Well, some of the things, yeah, I was like, I'm gonna chat up Micol. So I was like, I remember like I
Not
really
that you
enjoyed.
recall any
We
of
were
this.
in lots of meetings, a lot, and they were long. And sometimes we would just like play the game of like, can you say this word in this meeting?
So fun.
And that was so fun, and I just loved you for it because like I was trying to be like witty about it, and then you would just blurt it out, like
Yeah.
just like as if you had Tourette's or something like that. You would just be
I
like,
I was running out of time.
yeah, you're running out of time and it doesn't seem like you cared. And you know what? I looked around the room when you said it and no one was like, Micol, why did you say like orange or something? It was just like so random and it made me realize that our meetings maybe just made no sense because for them, like
Yeah,
random
we could.
words were
Yeah,
fine.
we're unaddressed. They went unaddressed.
Yeah, they were just like,
Uh,
oh,
I remember that so well. You worked it in gracefully
yeah, I
and in a
tried to
very
work in it.
clever
But
way.
then this was like, I have
I
this,
didn't prepare. I couldn't work it in.
sorry?
I didn't prepare. I think you must have had it planned from a few sentences earlier, and I was like, it was running out for me. I couldn't do it.
But that was like, it fits so well with my overall attitude of like, just do it. Just like this stream, just like this, whatever. It's like other people prepare and think about it. And I'm just like, well, you can just do it. And
Just
you
do it.
just did it. And I was like, oh, I can go even further, like there's even
Okay.
further that you went further than me, And I was like,
Did go
oh, this
further.
is really great. I can do even less. Do you know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah. You don't have to work it in gracefully.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. I remember that. I think, but that stuff started happening after you realized we had the same personality. I remember that meant a lot to you in that
Wow.
moment, or it seemed to, because you
I
were
I
like,
think so
you
because
have an
it's
interesting score. You know, it's only 10% of the population. Do you feel this way? You started asking me how I feel and think about stuff. And I would answer, and you were like,
I
that was
think
it. I
I
think that
don't
was
think it's the personality test. I think it's the whole thing leading up to it, like the fact that we discussed personality, I think was a sign of like trying to understand each other and finding each other
that's true.
interesting. So like maybe it's not, causation there, it's just correlation.
Could be
Um
because we did initiate that as an extracurricular
right, right.
side of work together. That could be.
Yeah.
I'm sure our other work friend who was a part of this got a very different personality
Oh yeah, yeah. We
than we did.
yeah, this is a funny thing about what parts of life to keep like private and secret because you don't like I think I posted about this recently on like yesterday on like social networks. I made a comment about like working right. It was like hiring people that work. I enjoy working with people who are passionate about their work, and one sign you're passionate about your work is that you do sort of similar things outside of work hours. You have hobbies related to it or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I at the same time feel like we should, like it's not all about capitalism and working hard and making more money or something like that, you know? Like you should be able to just be like, "Well, I'm done with work now. It's off," right? And I think that's important too, and you have to respect that. But I think like part of me has like I love so many things. I love like my passions, obviously by definition, but at the
Mm-hmm.
same time like I can be very lazy about things, right? Like if I
Mm-hmm.
don't want to do something or whatever, I'll try to min max it. And we'll get to that, Findus. And but I don't want to like advertise that I'm lazy, because I have to care about what other people think sometimes in the real world, right? Like so this goes to that thing I was just mentioning, like how much do we talk about like our real selves sometimes? What I don't like about LinkedIn is that so many people there make it sound like they're just like so excited about work and they just love whatever and it's like this is just fucking amazing and it's like dude, you're talking about launching some kind of fintech like, I don't know, marketing platform that'll increase ad revenue. How are you so excited about this, right? Like it's bullshit. And like so I don't want to advertise though that like I find all your shit bullshit, right? Like or I don't want to work. I do. I'm a good worker, hire me. So like what's your thought on all that? Because we're
My
similar, right?
thought,
We're similar.
yeah, we're similar. Okay, my thought, I had a lot of thoughts as you were talking. Maybe I can remember them. My thought is that you're talking about a lot of this within the framework of capitalism, which makes it complicates the story. So you like people that are passionate about the stuff that they do. And it's like, it's just hard. It's hard to like, you can be interested in a lot of things. You can be passionate about all the things that you're interested in, but you have to work within this capitalist framework. So like you hope it fits into all these little creases of capitalism. So it's not that you're lazy, like the lazy word or you're feeling that you're lazy is only coming up because you're thinking of yourself as lazy in a capitalist system. You're not lazy. It's just not everything you like to do or everyone. We're not square pegs in a square world. we try as much as we can to make sure that our hobbies and our skills and our talents and our interests line up with the roles that we have to play during the day. But like sometimes it some days it doesn't, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes for months it doesn't quite. And then you're thrown into these existential like spaces. Like, is this what I should be doing? Is this what I want to do? And it's just because we're trying to work out all these, we're trying to reconcile all these different things in our heads. Do you know what I mean? Did I explain that in any way that
Yeah,
makes
but
sense?
sometimes like I just don't want to put in the hours. Like I'm just like feeling like, oh, I just can't today. You know what I mean? And like
Right. Well,
and
that's
like
because you're trying to fit your life, your world, your interests, your hormone levels, your medication levels that you take, whatever. You're trying to fit everything in to such a rigid structure every single day.
don't even get me started
Is
on
that how we're meant to
medication.
be?
I don't feel like it, right?
But you
You
like people that are passionate and like what they're doing and like to work.
I don't know about
And that's
like to
because
work. Just that they love like
like to
the
pursue,
field,
like to
right?
pursue. So you're liking when people can sync up their passions to the hours that they have to put in every day. And sometimes,
I don't even need them to be like passionate all day long. It's just that like
no,
I
I
enjoy
know.
being able to discuss with people who find like can you imagine
I
like
really, I really didn't articulate this well, but
every
I
time
get
you
what
go to
you're saying. This
work
is a big idea.
every
Yeah.
time you go to work, you're like talking to someone just like, yeah, time to make the donuts, you know? I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's
time
a
to
lot
like
of
do the thing. You're just like, well, how am I going to get any energy off of this? This is something that I find interesting and like it's nice to like be able to discuss and like get new ideas and bounce stuff off. But if they're just like, this is just work, I don't want to talk about it, unless this is a work meeting or something, then it's just like gets a little dull, right?
yeah, yeah.
Which is sort of the thing. But at the same time, I want to really respect people who are like, I'm doing this just for the money, or whatever. That's fine too. So let's see. What does Ice Cold Witch says? Yeah. Um, but you must be a slave to capital. Capitalism is just a temporary phase for humanity before they progress to a better system. I tell myself every night as I cry to sleep. So first of all, I love how Ice Cold Witch
I feel
says
you. I feel you.
humanity before they progress. It's like I often feel like I'm not part of humanity. I feel like it's something else. Like they're gonna do
Let's
whatever they're
let's
gonna
wait for
do.
them to progress and sync up with where I'm at.
Do you ever feel like you're like a different species? Like, like I just don't understand how people think. Like, why are people so illogical? Like, why do they vote against their interests? Why don't they try to understand what's going on? And you're just like, I must be a different species or something like that.
They have like thinking fast and slow.
Right.
People crunch more into the fast.
The Twitch sort
People
of
people
response.
people miscategorize where fast and slow things should go. Like there are a lot of things that you should just move into fast and not overthink. You can't think about everything all the time. You can't
I think this is one of the things about
analyze,
an autistic brain is
but that gets
very
miscategorized for
few, like a lot of times I have to think. And yeah, I thought it was really interesting. I read quite a bit of the book, and they talk about how you can measure like how much effort you're putting in through looking at your pupils. Um, and
yeah, right. I forgot about that.
right, and
Move.
it's painful. It's like people generally don't want to spend that effort, but I feel like it's like a muscle. If you do it all the time, it doesn't hurt as much. And so I feel like I'm more willing to think at a certain level of depth that I'm okay with. Um, and because I'm confused all the time, I feel like I'm often thinking.
Right. But you have to think that's a process that you've probably, that's like a muscle. That's a muscle you've been using and a pattern that
Right.
you've been like used to. But I think about that. I think sometimes I think the other way, like what things in my life can I leave to somebody else and not have to overthink because I'm feeling a little overwhelmed. That changes. But like, um, it doesn't get into like, sure, let's go politics. You pick a party and you're like, can I leave it to them? You end up you end up giving up a lot of stuff. You end up giving away a lot of your own free thought when you're just like, let me just pick a ideology and I'll just that's easier
And
than
you'll
thinking
adopt
about all
what
these
they
macro issues that are really not affecting me in my everyday life
yeah,
until they do.
I
They
have
don't affect me until they do.
I have a hard time understanding what that means because like the thinking
Okay.
fast and slow is like, you have your default mode thinking um and whatever you call the active one. And like the when you do the fast thinking, you're not thinking as much, right? It's like a quick
Yeah.
categorization or
Reactions.
whatever.
Yeah.
Um
Pattern recognition.
yeah, and like when you say like sort of you don't want to think about it, so you kind of like pick a party. Let's say you pick the left, and that doesn't mean that I would adopt every single like position they have. I would just like say this is what I support, but doesn't mean I agree with them on everything. And I couldn't just like convince myself that I do. You know what I mean? I can't just be like, oh, they must be right. That doesn't make sense to me.
Right. But how often in your life how much time or energy do you spend being critical of it? Or you're just
Critical of what? What aspect? Do you mean like about
like in general, how engaged are you? Like you can only be hyper engaged in so many things
there's a
at
difference
once.
between thinking and engaging, right? Like you could think about something but never work on it, right? Like mathematics is a funny example where like you could be very thinking about it but it's never engaged in the real world, right? Like you're not necessarily making anything out of it. So like I think about like the snap foods in the US, like what's going on there, how do I feel about it, what actually makes sense. And my parents are very much on the right, so they're like, don't give food to people, they got cars and phones and everything. And it's like I think, okay, they're making huge assumptions there. Um,
Yeah.
sometimes people in my family are worried about their work situation or whatever, and I'm like, well, you believe anyone who's like basically doesn't want to work gets everything they want, so why don't you just stop working, and why are you so afraid? And then they're stuck with this like dissonance, right? This cognitive dissonance of like, I believe that people who don't work get everything. I'm afraid of not having
Not
anything.
working.
And you're like, well, what is it? So I pushed a little bit. This was last week. And they responded saying, like, well, some of them. I'm like, okay, now it's some of them. It's changed, right? And I'm like, well, if it's some of them, what
They
percentage?
gave up ground pretty fast there when challenged.
Yeah, so like I feel like I do think about these things, but at the very least I don't try to make a premature decision. You know what I mean? Which
Yeah.
is different than like just imagining
Yeah.
you know the answer.
Right. Right.
Findus, I am also right, but that does make crazy. um yeah.
Um, that's true. I mean, also, this is a bit of a tangent, but when you move abroad or something, like those structures that you set up or those like didactics, they're like, oh, it works differently here. I have to reassess sometimes, at
Right.
least politically, if we're
And
talking
both of
just politics.
us live we are Americans, but we don't live in America, right?
Hmm.
And we've had to adapt to a new culture both in Europe. And I feel for me like it was super easy. I wanted something really different.
Okay.
Um and I noticed that a lot of my friends from the US. I have a few who moved here, and they're much more like normal
Moved to
neurotypical.
France,
To
moved to
France,
Europe,
right? To France,
to France.
and it was hard for them. And I think it was
Mm,
because they just kind of had all of these assumptions built in, which is a very neurotypical trait of like, this is how things work. And when it
mm-hmm.
doesn't work, they're just like, oh shit. Like, first, it's almost like the stages of grief. Like, they were blaming, they were angry at the other people. Then, like, at some point, they start like saying, like, well, I'll learn a little bit of French and then it'll be better. So it's like they're bargaining, like, whatever. They're going through these stages until they're finally like, yeah, um, they finally either accept it and change a little bit, or they go back saying like France was a shithole.
I read the funniest article. It was written a few years ago. It was a mom. She's a oh, I don't remember any of the details. She's a writer. She's a big time writer. She wrote about moving to France for like 6 months with her family, and it was a really funny article about how she was going to move to France and walk around with baguettes, and her kids were going to learn French, and it was going to be this very beautiful experience. And the article is like, she was at the farmer's market picking out cheeses, and one of the French moms comes to her and goes, "We don't do this. This is for tourists," and like brings her to the frozen food section of the supermarket in a basement. And they're like, "You want to live like a French mom? We just defrost everything. Like, be realistic." It was a really funny article, like testing everyone's. And then the kids were like miserable trying to learn French. So after a while, she was like, "Go to the English school." Like, she gave up on everything one by one. But yeah, she came in with really strong assumptions. Maybe that's when it gets harder. But yeah, you and I did fine. We just reacted to the world around us and what we saw. I had no, I had no strong expectations. I was just very present in it.
Yeah, and also like observant. I feel like when I first got here, like
Yeah,
I would go into a restaurant, I'd be like, I have no idea how restaurants work here. That's
yeah,
weird, you know? It's kind of weird to think that you don't know, but you don't know because like
yeah.
my American friends would come in and they would just sit down at a table, and that is not done here. Like, you can't just sit down. And in the US also there are places
In
you
the
can't just
Netherlands, you sit down.
see how
Just
weird.
a
It's
little
so
cultural
weird,
difference.
right? It's so culturally different, and people get really upset. And even the
Yeah,
signs of the waiter or waitress being upset, they didn't like
it's
get.
it's scrambling their fast and slow systems.
So they just
Because
ignored
now
it.
their fast systems have to become slow. People have trouble transitioning these two
Right,
modes.
right.
That's that's the thing I absolutely love about traveling. I love having to like start from scratch. It's so fun
I
with
would
the
have loved to
smallest
be an
things. Oh,
anthropologist in another life.
I know. We'd be such preeminent anthropologists.
So good, the
We'd be
best.
so good. We'd have many books.
Ice Cold Witch said, I'm probably too selfish, but I don't understand how humanity just decides to let some starve and not due to food scarcity. It is sad, isn't it? Um, the issue with and Findus says the issue with this discussion, we live so different countries, there is no end point. Yeah, like sometimes the frame of
It's true.
reference can be so different, right?
A frame of reference is like so important for your survival, thinking like an anthropologist. And when it
Right.
gets so scrambled up, when you move somewhere now, it's so yeah, people react to it so differently. People get very threatened or very like thrilled by it.
My mother is Korean, my father is Ecuadorian. And oh, did I tell you about my four passport goal?
No.
So like I have US citizenship. I have I have in a sense Ecuadorian citizenship. I just have to like do it. It's just like
It goes
birthright.
through the father or something.
Right.
Okay.
My
Or mother.
mother, I have to do a little bit of a process and get Korean like passport. Um and then getting I'm working on my French one in a year or two because I've been here
Oh,
long
can you
enough.
do that? You
Yeah.
can be a dual citizen though?
The only country in that list that doesn't like allow other citizenships is Korea, but through the path that I'm taking where you're an adult basically re getting your citizenship or whatever, you're
Hmm.
allowed to basically do it. So I, my goal for real passports, not like the ones you buy, St. Kitts or whatever, but like for passports. And then I have access to South American trade, work, economy, North America, EU, and a lot of Asia. So I'm just missing
Wow.
like Africa, Oceania, and maybe Middle East. But that's all right. Like, I love you guys from there, but like, I'm okay with four. I
You
think
don't need to
four,
be from all the places. Four
right.
is impressive.
Four is already like, yeah. So that's my sort of like random goal list. But anyway, like why I was saying this was because I would grow up and I would have my cousins and family from my mother's side and my father's side, and we'd hang out with one or the other. Almost never mix the two. It'd be like,
Are a lot of the extended family, are they in the US?
a
A lot
lot
of the
of them
extended family both
are,
sides?
and they're all immigrants, like very like what do you call them? Like first, whatever they during their adult life they came over, and I remember the Korean parties and festivals or whatever. They would be very like serious. The kids would have where they hang out. The adults would have those things and whatever, right? Everyone was calm. There was a way to like drink alcohol or whatever, and oh yeah, all the women would be in the kitchen, the guys,
Mm,
it was whatever. And then I remember like I would go to my Ecuadorian side, or they would come over, and it would be loud music, the kids are dancing like on the tables, whatever, there's people who want to
that's so
smoke,
nice.
and it's like so different. And I think part of that, and I visited Korea several times. I just feel like that sort of gave me a little bit of like, plus the autism sort of like gave me a little bit of like, sometimes there's no similarities, just like,
You were never able to stop processing,
yeah,
taking
it
it
was
in.
like, no, like
Always had to
cultures can be
adjust.
really different, rules can be
Yeah.
very, very different, and they're kind of arbitrary.
Are you, are you appreciative of that? Like all the exposure to different cultures, backgrounds? It sounds like a special way to grow up. Maybe it was hard also.
I think it was hard for me because I felt very uncomfortable with the loud noise, being, the
Okay.
being autistic. That part was hard, and my cousins, the sense of, I remember being very young, like 7 or something like that, and really like thinking deeply about what property meant, because my cousins from my father's side would sometimes just take my stuff, and
Okay.
I was just thinking like, and for them it
It's
felt
my
fine.
private property.
It felt
Yeah.
it felt fine. There was just like, oh, I like this, so I'm going to take it. And I was thinking like,
Mm,
well, I'm upset. I feel hurt and upset because I cared about this thing and they just took it.
mm,
And I was like, well, do I own anything? Is this mine? What does it mean for it to be mine? Like, is it just a common sort of like social contract? Well, if it is, then I have no right because, like, they never signed my social contract, right? And it's a different way
wow.
of living. And at the same time, I was growing up in Queens, New York, and I would see like kids that would just like throw things like, what do you call it, like throw garbage on the floor, littering. They would litter, and they would also like mess up cars that are parked. And I thought, well, the person who owns that car, that's their car. But what does it
Yeah.
mean to own anything, right? Like, is that right? Is it wrong to have and have not? So that was difficult for me, and I think I still struggle with it a little bit. These concepts.
How about like aside from like just boundaries in general?
I
It's
still
trouble finding your boundaries.
like literally my post-it note. Like I met a guy recently and he was helping me with this. I don't know if you can read. Probably can't. But it says my boundaries. It's my
Mm,
main sticky on my monitor. It's something I'm really working with. It's hard. It used to be really hard for me to say no to things. And when I was talking to this guy, he was saying like, when you have boundaries, you don't need to justify them. And that was one of those moments that I was like, "Oh shit." Like I always thought like you have to choose your boundaries, and this is still that social contract of what's like an okay boundary for me to have. No,
yeah,
I can fucking choose whatever boundary I want, and
yeah.
and I don't have
This
to
is hard.
justify it.
This makes me uncomfortable.
Does it?
Yes, hearing you say it.
Why is that?
I have a lot of trouble with this. I think when you're in an immigrant family, so my grandparents were immigrants, you don't have a lot of, to your point, you don't have a lot of boundaries. You're not allowed to have a lot of boundaries. Like you grow up like we got to stick together. Uh, there's just a lot of people when you're in an immigrant family that like meet up a lot. So like your cousins, like you meet up often because that's the social network that you start with. That's very, very important. I have trouble setting boundaries and I have trouble not apologizing for my set boundaries. And I actually feel like I don't know where the line is, but I feel like my boundaries that I'm trying to set up are actually very loose, but they do exist and they get invaded even though they're loose and I let people invade them all the time.
Do you let
It's
people
more
at work
comfortable for me.
invade your
Yeah.
boundaries? Or is that like your personal life?
I think I'm invading their boundary. I think I have a lot of trouble finding the lines. I think I invade their boundaries. I think
Well, let's
this is
try to
always a
bring this
thing.
to concrete stuff. Like, give me an example of somebody recently who's. Give me an example. You don't have to say who it is, but let's make it like work, because work is like where you
Work.
should definitely have boundaries. Like in a relationship with your partner, I can understand that boundaries are a little less clear, but still important, right? Like, don't let people
Mhm.
like mess you up in a relationship. But like let's say at work, when do people like what's your boundaries that you have issues with?
I'll try to get more concrete, but this is like a general thing. I say, let me know if I can help with that for everything. Like for things that aren't my job. That's me not having my own boundaries. So
You're
that's
not
the problem
respecting
when
your
you're
own boundaries. It's not
I
even
don't
them trying
yes,
to invade your boundaries. You're just like,
exactly.
blah, here, come and invade me.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Um, I have a funny title at work. It's AI liaison officer is my title.
As
So
vague
this
as
is
it can
not a
get.
great title for someone without boundaries because it doesn't in and of itself. It's
You
like
can't
it's
say what's in, what's out, right?
I can't say what's in, what's out.
If it's AI related, it's probably in, but other than
Right. And
that,
like what is AI? And it's
right.
like that's kind of up to you and me and everyone as we talk through stuff. So it's not like a great position. And then I work in a division level. I work at the division level. So I don't work in any particular department. I work at like above 12 research departments and I have to like liaison the AI.
Are you liaisoning the
Um,
shit out of it though?
who knows? Who knows? But I'm kind of clear on what I need to do for work now. But before that, being a person with boundary issues, I um and I'm like very deferential to I'm very deferential to people. Like I have a lot of respect for people. Like once I meet someone, I'm like anyone, all people.
Do you really feel that respect, or you just that's your behavior?
I need to examine that. I don't know. That's a big question.
Like we worked for someone. We had someone we worked with,
Yeah, but I didn't.
and
That
I
was not
know
an
I
issue in
didn't
the city.
have there. Who cares if she finds out, right? Like, so uh,
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't have,
respect for everyone.
no, but there are a lot of wonderful people out there. And when you're in like a scientific community, there are a lot of people doing a lot of good. And I respect the general ethos that goes along with that. And I respect like there are a lot of people to respect. I'm in a very lucky and privileged position, institution, and place where I can respect. There's a lot of people that deserve and earn respect. And I don't have boundaries. And then you've people that it gets messy. It gets messy when you don't have boundaries.
Do
So I offer to help. I offer to assist. You know, that's not really in my job description. And I'm not really setting myself up in that relationship to be an equal. I just say I can assist you, which is turning myself into an assistant. Uh, so that's a boundary problem. That's actually it's also a personal because like if people I live abroad now, and if people are like, "Can I stay?" I'm like, "Stay however long you want."
you've told
That's
me
not really
that,
what I Yeah, but in the moment, and even now, if I think about it, I mean it.
right?
So where's my boundary? There's a line somewhere in there, right? Like
No,
some
I
people
think
are
you were
more
just
open
like you
than
could just
others.
move it. I think you literally told me I could move in.
Do you see it now? Do you see my problem? That's not normal.
That's
I've got a
well,
problem.
yeah, I don't know, but you probably haven't
But
said that to
I would be
everyone,
happy. No, I don't say that to everyone. And I'd be happy if you moved in. I think I just have a very high threshold. But not for some people, I could live together communally with people. I'm
right?
thinking of you. I'm thinking of my friend Dennis, hey Dennis, who I never even talk to that much anymore. But like he could move in. There are a few people in my life that could move in.
So, so with your boundaries at work, though, if someone asked
Yeah,
you to do
bringing
something,
this in.
if someone
Yeah.
asked you to do something and like you're just like, no, I have too much on my plate, or I don't want to work on that. Let's say it's super arbitrary. Like, let's say that if it involved laboratory information systems, you don't want to work on it, right? And your boss asked you to. Do you feel like it's okay to say no and say like, you know what? No, I'm not going to work on that.
It's so relational. It depends on the people.
But
I connect with the people. If a person that I have good connection to is asking me to do something I don't want to do, I'll be more inclined to do it over
sure,
something I
inclined, but like,
don't.
do you feel like, okay, let's say it's not even you, let's say it's someone else. Do you feel like it's okay to say no to something at work, even though you can do it? You know, even though the person
Mm,
can do it, is it okay to say no just because you don't want to?
I very much as an idea think it's okay to say no.
Right. And I feel like this is what I'm working on with boundaries for myself is like to be able to say no to work because it'll make me unhappy, you know? Because there are some kinds of work in technology that I just don't enjoy.
Hmm.
And, but at the same time, I feel like, well, there's this social contract with work where like you have a manager. Right, right. It's so, Finda says, no, it's not okay to say no. And I remember talking to a friend who's like, well, they hired me. So basically, I do what they say, you know? Like, that's basically like they're my whatever, they're my boss, and a boss tells
Hmm.
you what to do. But do I really need to do what they tell me to do? And is there any boundaries to it? Is there any limit to like that? And how
Yeah.
arbitrary does it have to be? Obviously, if they tell me to do something illegal, I can say no, right? But if it's simply just because of my own happiness at work,
Right.
where do I go? Is it always basically like, okay, if you ask me to do that, I quit, that could be it, right? Like
Yeah.
that's
You can have a
up to
line.
you, but
Yeah.
like can you just say no? And I feel like I'm moving towards a direction where where this guy told me like they're my boundaries. I don't need to justify them, that I can say no and set boundaries arbitrarily. And that may sound like a jerk bitch ass
Arbitrarily or
well,
intentionally?
relative to them, it's arbitrary, right? I don't need to justify
Okay.
it, right? I can just be like, I don't work on front end work. Let's just say, like, I don't do web work,
Yeah.
or I don't like to use this technology. I don't use like Python, whatever, right? And they'll be like, why, right? And I was like, look, I don't need to justify it. You,
Yeah.
as an employer, have the right to fire me. That's fine. I understand if you do because you want like, people who'll just basically do whatever you say, and or you want someone who does Python, but like I'm not going to do it. And obviously to not be really a jerk about it, you should understand your boundaries prior to an engagement, right?
Right.
Like it's so
And
much
and they
better.
should be consistent.
They should be consistent. Like, you know what? Today I'm not feeling so Python. Like that would just be
Right.
fucked up, right?
That's a problem.
That's a
Yeah.
problem sort of thing. But like sometimes we learn about ourselves as we work, right? We can't
Right.
we
True.
can't imagine everything before we start. So I do think like both sides have to be respectful. And I think
Yeah.
it's hard for people to understand how much stress. Like recently I told my manager like you just canceled a meeting like 20 minutes before the meeting started. For me, that's highly disruptive. Like I'm preparing for the meeting, it's in my head, I start getting anxious and stressed about it.
Yeah.
If you just cancel it, it's just like all of that could have been saved. And I tried to explain it to them, and obviously
True.
for them, they don't feel that, so they're just like, that seems arbitrary and weird, right? But like, we're all different.
Yeah. Yeah. That's hard. Um, what does it say on your post-it note? Is it all work-related boundaries?
It says that I don't need to justify my boundaries, and that's like the number one thing. The other thing is like that I don't really know how this, I guess hours, the amount of time I put in is a boundary. If someone asks me to work at a certain hour or really late at night
Yeah, that's
or put
fair.
in a lot of time, then it's like, well, my boundary is like I need to have my evenings or whatever free, and I don't need to justify that. That's it works with the other boundaries. And the
Yeah.
other thing is my hourly rate. Like I don't need to justify how much I charge for my time. Um, Obviously you have to
But that's
just
not something you struggle with. You were always good at that. No?
well, what I hate is like I hate doing is like if a friend comes up to me, especially someone I know, and is like, "Can you help me out?" But we don't have a lot of money. My answer is always like, "I want to help you. I care about you. I want to make your life easier. So I want to figure out something." But like but at the same time I have to like set some boundaries on my time and hours so that like it makes sense. Um so the question is like after doing it for a while, can I can I change my hours? Can I change
Mm-hmm.
my rate? And it's a little weird. It's a little weird to work with someone and then be like, "You know what? My rates go up." Right? And it
Mm-hmm.
kind of feels kind of like fucked up or whatever, but this is your boundary. This is your setting stuff up. And
Right.
yes, it's always better to try to imagine these things ahead of time, but we're not perfect.
Yeah. Manage expectations.
Right. It's always better.
But it's
Um
also a reality that things change and need to adapt.
Ice Cold Witch says, nah, it's the managers and bosses are the weird ones. Almost always the case. I wrote on Blue Sky today. I said, often I just keep like wishing, why can't I have a manager that's just like me? Why do I end up with the asshole managers? And I'm like, well,
Are they
now,
assholes or just not you?
and then I thought, wait a minute.
Yeah.
After you have so much proof that they're different, you're probably just like, well, maybe I am the same. I am probably an asshole manager and just don't realize it.
Do you think being a manager or a boss something in the nature of that in the
sorry.
relationship between? Do you think something in the nature of the relationship between a boss and subordinate is just a bit toxic to
It
begin
is a
with
little weird, right?
inherently?
Like there was a guy that in a startup that I co-founded, we hired a VP of engineering and I was CTO. And so people at the time were all reporting to me, right? So I was their technical manager. Technically, I was their manager and I was their technical manager. And then the VP of engineering was like, well, if you want me to help, if you want me to be effective, the only way that I can be effective is if I have power. And the only way I can have power is if I can fire people. And so I was like,
Yeah.
what the fuck are you talking about? It was so foreign to my way of thinking. Like I very much believe in like soft power. I don't treat people that work for me like I can rule over them. You know what I mean? I'm like, if anything, I think a lot of people don't have enough respect for me as a manager because like I do that on purpose. I don't want them to feel like I'm superior to them in any way, you know? I usually think that their way. I want to
Do
work
you
with
think that has an advantage, like in the workplace? Do you think it makes people more creative, more? Do you do it for like strategically, or is that just how you want to relate to people?
it's really how I think, right? Because I
Hmm.
think like I want to work with people who are working on stuff and they know it better than me. Like
Hmm.
if I was better at it, then maybe I should be doing it. I don't know. Like ideally they're better than me. And they're going to spend more time thinking about it. If you're a manager and you're really spending time managing, then you're going to spend less time thinking about the problem, right? They're in the problem. Like the
Yeah.
most you can do is give context. So like trust them when they're actually solving the technical part of the problem because they should have thought about it more than you. And if they
Yeah.
haven't, then there's something wrong. There's something like you got to
Right.
fix, right?
But
And
if there's
that
something wrong, you'll find that.
right.
You'll find that out and you'll get there. I think people that are very micromanagey or very um I don't know, create this like intense power dynamic or just afraid of missing problems. But I think you probably understand through your management style also, like they get caught. You catch them also.
We have a slight disagreement here. Like Ice Cold
Okay.
Witch was saying how managers are the weird ones, and then Findus says, no, managers aren't crazy. They try their best. I think everyone tries their best all the time. Like,
Yeah.
that's why you
Just
can't
coming
ever.
from different places.
They're coming from different
Yes.
places, and we make decisions based on what we know and what we've learned. But I do feel like society has often given managers this role of like almost like slave driver. And especially in the Bay Area, like tech companies, there's so much of like we just have to move really, really quick and just like
Yeah.
drink the Kool-Aid and like do what I say. And that's not like I think the best way for a team to work.
Yeah.
So, yeah, managers and successful managers often manage up in large companies, and that doesn't feel good to me. I feel like managing down shows like a certain amount of like personal investment and risk. Managing up is always safer, right? And that's just
Good point. Yeah.
I think you can tell a lot about managing up. It's like the same people who like kiss up
Yeah.
to like the important people but treat like
Yeah. Aren't nice to people below.
right. Or
Thinking
or
about
like
that the
that
other day.
that they'll never see again or whatever, right? Like
If no one's watching, they're like the type of people that don't tip. Like
right,
they'll take people they want to impress out to dinner.
right.
They won't leave the server a tip. Yeah. You gave me amazing work advice and I never forgot it. You've done this on more than one occasion, but this can be packaged up so nicely. So I'll say it. You were telling me or Kat, I don't know. We were stressed about something, that something wasn't going to work out in a project. And you said, just let them fail. It's great advice. There's a lot in there. There's a lot contained within that advice.
Yeah, there was a guy, one of my best managers who I worked for. He gave me that advice. I was so like stressed about these projects that were happening, and we had this kind of like semi involvement in the project, but we didn't own the project. It wasn't like our main project or whatever. But I was so
Yeah.
stressed about it because I was like, it's not gonna work. And he just like was like, well, you know what happens then is you just have to let them fail, and then you can pick up the pieces, or it'll be
Yeah.
clear to everyone, because fighting to make it clear that it's failing or they're doing it wrong is often harder than just like letting it fail. You have to do the calculus there. And I
Yeah.
thought about it a lot. It's
So
like, yeah,
smart. Yeah.
yeah, like it's better to like let them fail sometimes, and then they'll be in a better position to learn.
Totally.
And it's very related to this other thing about like you only learn by failing, right? Fail, 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 and then keep trying.
Because of our capitalist structure, we think that's the worst thing that can happen. And it's really not for personal growth, professional growth, for your relationships with people you work with. It's shouldn't be seen as like the worst possible scenario. It's not the worst outcome. You have to like shift the paradigm a little bit
Yeah, it's
to
funny, and
see
this
it.
happens in relationships. I have so many friends who are like, I can't. I'm not someone
Gosh, I guess
anyone
it
can
depends
love.
on everything. Yeah.
I'm not. I relationships don't work for me. I'm like, how do you know? It's like, well, all of them have failed. But that's the expectation, right? Like until you find the right one that works and that you're compatible with, they're all gonna fail,
Yeah.
right? So like, of course they're gonna fail. That's what is expected. And you're gonna fail until like you figure out what you need and what other people need so that you can work with them together in a relationship. That doesn't mean you have to be in a relationship. I just mean like it can sometimes give you this false sort of like sense of like I failed so much, so I must be a failure.
Yeah. And like the failure part is one, it's the last thing that happens. But a thousand things, good, bad, and everything in between happen on the way. So you take all that with you just because the last moment, the last point was fail
Right.
with relationships, with projects, with life, with everything. You take it's all a picture. Don't focus on the last pixel of the picture.
It's the journey, not the destination.
Yeah.
Well, we've been at it for an hour and 13 minutes now.
Oh my God.
Can you believe it? We're like, how can we talk for an hour
I
or
could talk to you for so many. I could talk to you all day long. You
all
should
day
probably move
stream?
in.
But yeah, what maybe this is a good time to keep people wanting more.
Yeah. I hope that went good.
I think it
I hope that
went
went
well.
well.
It went as well as anything else I do. It's like, what do I say to that?
um, I hope we didn't fail. And if we did, that's
It's all
okay.
right.
That's all right.
I
All
failed
right.
so bad at like some, public things. So like, whatever.
Oh man, me too. That should have we can start next time with our failures.
Yeah,
Our
let's talk about our.
embarrass start with our embarrassing failures.
All right. Well, for those watching later or whatever, what like and subscribe, right? That's what
Right. That's what you say.
that's what you say. Thanks for chatting, Micol.
Thank you so much, Elise. This was fun.
This was fun. Bisous.